G'day everyone and welcome to My Modded Mini. I'm Lyndon and today we're going to be going through how I fitted some MX5 seats into my classic Mini. As you know, the Mini's just held on with two wing nuts or a couple of little bolts on the front so that it can tip forward so you can get into the back seat of the car. The things I was looking for when I was trying to find some seats were that they had to be narrow. They had to fit in the Mini. I wanted them to be a bit more sporty, so like a bucket seat, and I still needed them to tip forward far enough so that I could get people and luggage onto the back seat, being my daily driver. So the things I was looking for with putting new seats into the Mini is that I fixed the diaphragms in mine a couple of times. Even the new ones that you get, the rubber's not as good as what it used to be, so they do flog out reasonably quickly when you're driving around all the time in the sun and in the cold. I've fixed mine a couple of times. I've just made some DIY rubber diaphragms for underneath, just out of a piece of 3mm insertion rubber, and they work pretty well now. I've done the design a couple of different times, and yeah, the last one's been in there for about 7 months and I haven't broken it yet. But I wanted some more bucket seats or bucket seat style, so I started looking around. Obviously the Cobra Classics or the Corbo Classic retro racing seats are an easy fit and an easy choice, but I just didn't want to stretch the budget that far at this stage. So what I ended up doing was trying to look for seats out of a more modern car that sort of fit the bill. Looking at things like Roadsters, 2-doors and coupes, because they're generally a narrower seat and they're narrower front to back as well. So I just didn't want to take up too much leg room in the back of the car. I found some MX5 seats on Marketplace, sent a couple of messages around and found a pair that was at the right price. One of them had the driver's side airbag was blown, so the stitching was obviously torn down that. I sent the photo to one of my friends who's also a Mini guy, and he's an upholsterer. Asked him what the go was, see whether he'd be able to fix it on. He said, yep, no problems. So I sent the guy an offer and picked him up the next day. Once I got the seats back, it was pretty easy to see that you had the normal sort of seat, and it had the two runners that ran along here, and on the MX5 ones it had a couple of brackets that went off the back here. I just drilled out, there's some large rivets that went through this section here. I drilled those parts out, and deleted them, so that then I just had a flat base to work with. From there you've got the Mini cross member that sits over, and it's got the bracket. It sits like that at the front with the 3 holes there. So then I had to make sure that I could fill this space here and have something that attached from this point here to this point here. I started off, I was going to make a whole frame with the bolt sections at the front and then have the bars at the back to sort of replicate what the normal Mini has in it at the moment. But I decided against that because the base of the MX5 seat has the 2 runners that go along like this, and I thought I could make that frame by just having a piece that went across there and a piece that went straight across that way. So what I ended up doing was welding a piece of 25mm box straight across there, a piece of 6mm plate that stuck off the front like that. That's these 2 bits here. And then for this back section, rather than doing this style, what I wanted was that when you tip the seat forward and you've got it like this, I have seen them before aftermarket ones where they've got these little pegs that sit at the back here. That's got the cushions on it. They're little pegs here, and I was a bit worried about those catching on people's shins or on luggage or something as you're getting in and out of the car. So what I ended up doing was, if you're looking from the back of the car and you've got the tunnel that sits across like this and your seat base sits there, I ended up welding the piece of 25mm across the back and then having another piece that went across like this in 25mm as well. Actually it's not symmetrical, so it's more like that. The idea for this is that I wanted, when it tipped forward, I wanted this section here to be out of the way to give as much room through this way as we could. And the rails on the Mazda seat sit out here and sit out here. So what I was able to do is actually have it offset, but the seat cushion still sits in the middle there because this has got the plastic on the side for your tilt and adjustment. Once I had that all sorted, I ended up with 2 pieces of 25mm box like that, and 2 pieces of 25mm box that went down like that as well. A bit dodgy drawing there. So that's what it was. This one had the section coming out the front here. And this is definitely one of these cases of, hey, let's not overthink this or overcomplicate it. So I did it like this. I was going to bolt these, but it had some movement left and right. If I bolted there, that's what I tried first. So it actually moved a little bit further left and right. If this was the front of the car. But once I had the 2 runners down like this, welded across here, and had the 2 attachment points at the front there, there's no movement in that whatsoever now. And then the base bit comes off the bottom like that. So yeah, that's how I've built these mini seat runners. I then did the upholstery again. I had to fix up a couple of bits of foam, which you'll see in a couple of the videos as well. And I'll go through some of the upholstery stuff. On the upholstery, there's a thing called a hog ring, and it's just a piece of wire that comes like this, and it has a pair of pliers, a special pair of pliers that sort of sits like this. And upholstery, and what it does is it collapses this one in this way, and it collapses this one in this way, and it goes around whatever it is that you need it to. You have to cut these off when you're taking the upholstery apart. They can be a bit painful, so get yourself a decent set of side cutters to be able to actually do that, and a set of needle nose pliers for when you need to pull these out, because sometimes you'll cut this section here and then you'll need to be able to pull this part out because it'll still be stuck down in the foam. Now, the hog ring pliers, I've only got a cheap set, and then the actual hog rings that I've got are more like a fencing ring. So they actually, exaggerated, are like this versus like this with pointy ends. So this is for going through upholstery and through fabric and that sort of stuff. Now, I've used these ones before, and what I've been able to do is just use a decent set of combination pliers and just cut it, which gives you a point on each end, and then when you've got it in your pliers, you can actually just wriggle it a little bit and it'll punch through the vinyl, leather, webbing in this case of what I was doing at the time. And I was able to do that because you can get the flat ones from Bunnings 7 days a week, and you get these sort of ones from upholstery shops, which are obviously a bit more hit and miss. So that's the hog ring pliers. What I ended up doing, because how the Mazda seats, if you look at the seat base where your bum goes, it's got some heavy duty Velcro down the center, a center strip of it, and then it's got a piece of wire that's only exposed in 3 spots down the side of the foam like this. And then the leather sits down on top of that, and then it has the hog rings that go through this section. So you peel the leather back from this section, cut this one, and then you peel it back a bit further, cut this one, peel it back a bit further, cut this one, and then you can gently take this Velcro off, and then you do the same thing on the other side. Peel the leather back, cut this one, cut this one, cut this one, and then all of the leather comes off the seat. Obviously, when you're putting it back on, like I said, I don't have the proper hog ring pliers, and they're a bit painful to use when you've only got a cheap set of the pliers to do. So what I ended up doing, if you're looking at it from the sides now, you've got a block of foam, and it's got wire that's molded into the foam, and it has factory sections that are cut out like this. The leather, I'll do a dotted line for the leather, sits on the top like that, and it has a tab that hangs down. Now what you have to do is your hog ring goes around the bit of wire and around that tab, and then pulls that down and pulls the foam up. And that's what gives you the nice pleats, 3 pleats down the seat. Now what I ended up doing, and you'll see it in some of the video, is just use zip ties. So I put zip ties around these, and I actually put an extra couple in here to try and get it to pull down more evenly, because I found that the leather had started to pucker in sections where the hog rings were, like this. And so what I did is put an extra one in here, extra one in here, to try and get it so it's a bit flatter, yeah, across where the base sits. But that's all I've had to do to get the seat all put back together again, and this is what it looks like now. I can't wait to take it for a drive tomorrow. Thanks. As always, happy to answer comments down below, so if you have any questions about it, just chuck them down there and I'll get straight onto them as soon as I can. And if you like this content or you've got any other suggestions, yeah, like, subscribe, and let me know what you want to see. Thanks everyone, bye.